Tom Cameron Swayze.
Brett Huntley. David Burton. John Chen. Tom Brokaw.
Tonight, Hurricane Rita, now a Category 2 across the Florida Keys, while along the Gulf Coast, questions about whether FEMA is ready or not. State of confusion. In New Orleans, frustration and anger tonight for people told to come back in and now being kept out. Who pays the looming fight for those in the storm zone who thought their insurance companies would pay for the wreck they used to call home? And a Big Easy landmark may be closed for now, but Katrina can't stop the music.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. Tonight, all along the Gulf Coast, all eyes are on Hurricane Rita, and the hopes of an entire region are now riding along with this storm. They're hoping it does not veer into Louisiana, where the damage from Katrina has really stopped life in its tracks. Here is the very latest on this new hurricane tonight. Rita right now is a Category 2. It is expected to strengthen to a 4, perhaps as early as tomorrow. Tens of thousands of evacuations are underway or about to be triggered from Florida to the Texas coast, where Rita is expected to hit. The time frame on this right now, landfall is expected this coming weekend. We have the region covered tonight, and tonight we begin with NBC's Mark Potter in Rita's path this evening in Key West, Florida. Mark, good evening.
And good evening to you, Brian. Key West clearly dodged the bullet tonight as the worst of the storm passed to the south. But even if the island had suffered a direct hit, officials say they would have been ready.
Although the eye of Hurricane Rita never made landfall, the northern edge of the storm still brought angry waves to the Florida Keys.
This is the worst we have seen it.
At the height of the storm, one man ignored the dangers as he struggled to climb from one boat onto another. Parts of US 1, the only road out of the Keys, were flooded, and at least one area washed out. Key West Fire Chief Billy Wardlow found problems near the airport on a stretch of road known as Dead Man's Curve.
It's kind of nasty right here. We got sponges and seaweed covering the street. It doesn't look very well here.
At the Key West Operations Center, officials from various agencies monitored the storm as it passed the island, saying they were much more prepared than Louisiana and Mississippi were during Katrina.
It's absolutely essential to have units pre-positioned, have resources pre-positioned.
Another contrast to Katrina. In Homestead, Florida, just north of the Keys, FEMA trucks loaded with water, ice, and other disaster supplies parked at a staging area.
We've got members from the 856 Quartermaster Battalion.
And Florida National Guard troops made plans to head to the Keys as soon as the weather cleared, if needed.
2,400 guardsmen are mobilized, and additional 2,000 are on alert.
Even before the storm hit, Florida officials were planning for the aftermath.
Reestablish communication, life safety security, get commodities in there if needed, get the infrastructure rebuilt, and get the Keys open for business.
Much of this help might not be needed, but officials say Floridians, 3 weeks after Katrina, were more than ready.
As soon as the storm passes, assessment teams will go out to see what kind of help is actually needed. Brian?
Mark, thanks. Mark Potter in windy Key West, Florida tonight. We want to get the very latest now on the track of Hurricane Rita. For that, we're joined again tonight by meteorologist Bill Cairns of our digital weather channel, NBC Weather Plus. Bill, good evening.
Well, good evening, Brian. The eye of Rita is now passing away from Key West, but not before leaving a 102-mile-per-hour wind gust on the island. Now for the forecast track and path of the storm. Could become a Category 3 storm as early as this evening as Rita continues to intensify. After that, all eyes are going to be on the western Gulf. We still think the path is going to be somewhere in between Houston and Corpus Christi. That has not changed in the last 24 hours. What has changed is the intensity forecast, now predicting a Category 4 hurricane to be moving across the Gulf and possibly making landfall Friday evening. As far as New Orleans goes, none of our computer models are taking the storm that way. Each of these lines indicates a potential landfall, which still brings us from Houston all the way down to Brownsville, Texas. We'll continue to watch this for you, Brian.
Thank you, Bill. Bill Caron's at the map for us tonight. And now to the city of New Orleans, where there had been a policy of letting people and businesses return to the city. That was until it was called off. They are waiting for Rita to pass by, hoping it doesn't veer at all toward them. And it's fair to say the city is in a state of confusion these days. NBC's Kevin Tibbles joins us now from New Orleans. Kevin, good evening to you.
Brian, tonight the city of New Orleans and their officials are taking this new storm very seriously and vow to be ready this time for evacuations just in case it does turn this way. Katrina-ravaged Louisiana says it is prepared to get people out.
Our first mission is to save lives, to save as many lives as possible.
Today, after weeks of rancor between local and federal officials, there was a public attempt at reconciliation, with the New Orleans mayor now in full agreement that residents should stay away.
And I know some of you were prepared to come back to New Orleans. You know, just hold on for a little longer.
But there's confusion and anger at the checkpoints into the city.
They are denying us access into our homes, which in my opinion is un-American, unacceptable, unconscionable, and inhumane.
As baffled residents are turned away.
We got 4 guys inside with no vehicle.
The concern, the city's levees are still severely damaged.
If she turns north, then we're going to be very concerned about that surge for St. Bernard.
Touring the damaged region today, the president praised Mayor Nagin's new stance.
He made a wise decision to say to people, you know, be cautious about returning here.
As did Albert Gilson, who rode out Katrina here and now awaits Rita.
If it was a bad decision, well, live with it. But the fact is, hey, he's trying to get his city up and going.
Still, many are critical of the seemingly endless back and forth.
Who's right? I don't know.
For Peter Spahn and his wife Stacy, the latest change of instructions was the last straw. Today they are packing up and leaving for good this time.
I think definitely one of the reasons getting out of town and just, I think, just not having to deal with, you know, wondering who to listen to.
Are you going to come back?
No, we're out of here.
And where are New Orleans residents being asked to go should there be an evacuation? Back to the now infamous downtown convention center, from which 2 busloads of people have already left town today. Brian?
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Tibbles in New Orleans for us tonight. And for all the graphic images we've seen down there, for all the images we've shown you of the damage and destruction caused by Hurricane Katrina, we have nothing to show you for one entire area. In St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana, 90% of the structures that used to be standing are no longer there. And according to the sheriff there, very little help is making its way to his parish. Sheriff Jack Stevens is angry and disappointed, and today, as you'll see, he vented his frustration to us in his own words.
These homes look like they're intact. The inside, they look like they've been victims of some type of chemical or bacterial warfare.
The federal emergency response to this event has been woefully inadequate. For 5 days, we were drowning like rats on levees here. It is an absolute disgrace.
The water was probably 12 feet high. There were people trapped in attics here, that some of whom we saved and some of whom I'm sure are still in there.
I don't at all sense the urgency with regards to getting this area back on its feet. And if we keep going at this pace, we'll never get back on our feet. I'm calling the President of the United States to just please expedite this thing. Put somebody in charge that is down here. They need to get their asses off the deck of those aircraft carriers and get in this muck down here about 4 feet deep and feel, smell, see, and touch the bacteria that's there and understand what a monumental job it's going to be to rebuild this entire area. Now, we're in the middle of another weather event. And I don't know what's going to happen. But honestly, in our community, we don't have a lot to lose. We've lost everything.
Sheriff Jack Stevens, sheriff of St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana, a community that's been virtually wiped off the face of the map, in his own words tonight. Now, for those who survived Katrina but had their homes destroyed or badly damaged, about the last thing they want to do now is fight over insurance. But a lot of them may have to fight because of a big dispute over just 2 words, wind and floods. We get more tonight from NBC News Chief Financial Correspondent Ann Thompson.
On Moonraker Drive in devastated Slidell, homeowners' lives are at the curb and their tempers are short as insurance adjusters classify the vast majority of this flood damage. not hurricane or wind damage.
You've got 145-mile-an-hour winds pushing water off the lake, knocked all those camps down into my house, and you're going to call that flood? What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Generally, flood damage is not covered by homeowners' policies. Instead, you must have flood insurance, a federal program that covers only up to $250,000 in damages.
I got to replace my roof.
The storm surge from Lake Pontchartrain, whipped up by Katrina, put a neighbor's hot tub and boat in Warren Willow's backyard. He hopes his $150,000 flood policy covers the damage done to his $275,000 house. But already there are issues.
They said they were going to cover the bottom cabinets but not the top because the water didn't get up high enough to damage the top.
Such frustrations echo along the Gulf.
This damage was caused by a hurricane.
The Mississippi Attorney General and some private attorneys are suing several insurance companies, including State Farm and Allstate, to force them to pick up more of the tab. Suits the industry blasts as politics, arguing the federal government stepped in decades ago because such potentially huge losses were too expensive for private insurers to cover.
When you write a fire insurance policy, you don't expect an entire city to burn down in one day. Flood has potentially catastrophic losses.
But whether it's policy or politics, for these homeowners, any shortfall is painful. It's the aftershock Warren Willows didn't expect.
This is too hard to go through.
Yet he is one of the lucky ones, one of the just 46% of homeowners in the New Orleans area who have some flood insurance. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Slidell, Louisiana.
The Federal Reserve boosted a key interest rate for the 11th straight time today, shaking off worries about the economic effects of Hurricane Katrina. The federal funds rate was raised a quarter point to 3.75%. That's the highest level since the summer of 2001. Wall Street was not all that impressed with the Fed's move. Dow finished down more than 76 points. NASDAQ was off nearly 14. And up next, as we continue here this Tuesday night, NBC News in depth. With Hurricane Rita heading into the Gulf of Mexico, a big question: is FEMA ready for another big hit? And later, the musicians of the Preservation Hall Jazz Band talk about the future of their beloved New Orleans jazz.
Work with that left hand.
Thanks for the jest, Mom.
Simple, everyday moments can be the perfect time to talk to your kids about not smoking, so you don't have to plan a big discussion.
Look, there's a dragonfly on one of the roller coasters.
Is your leg? A little moment will do just fine. Talk to your kids about not smoking.
Smoking cigarettes can hurt your game too.
They'll listen.
Don't worry, Dad. I won't.
For conversation starters, log on to philipmorrisusa.com.
Heartburn's back.
Ooh, deal me back in.
You mean out. Tums EX can't keep acid from coming back. Choose the chews that work fast and last.
New Malox Antacid Barrier.
I'm new, I'm a chew. And I give you fast relief, plus a long-lasting protective barrier that keeps acid away for hours.
Thanks, Malox. Now we can play for hours.
You bet. New Malox Antacid Barrier. Choose the chews that work fast and last.
All of us have internal plumbing. But for some of us with frequent urges, our pipes just don't work as well as they should. Sometimes you worry you could spring an embarrassing leak. So why deal with it on your own when there's something more you can do? Treat it once daily with Vesicare. Vesicare can reduce urges and may even help relieve bladder leakage. If you have certain types of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, do not take Vesicare. While taking Vesicare, if you experience a serious allergic reaction, severe abdominal pain, or become constipated for 3 or more days, tell your doctor right away. Common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, blurred vision, and indigestion. So why wait? Ask your doctor today if Vesicare is right for you. Fewer urges and leaks. With Vesicare, it's not just a pipe dream.
NBC News in depth tonight with what could be a very dangerous new hurricane bearing down on the Gulf Coast. The serious question of whether FEMA is prepared to deal with another big hit. In depth tonight, here is NBC's Chip Reed.
In Florida, federal officials say the response to Hurricane Rita is already in high gear.
Massive quantities of ice, food, and water are moving into position. Medical and search and rescue teams are ready to roll. It's all part of an effort by FEMA to avoid the slow, muddled response to Hurricane Katrina that had such disastrous consequences. The new head of FEMA says this time will be different.
We are not assuming anything. We are going to be hooked at the hip with emergency managers to make sure that we're all prepared.
But with Rita now gaining strength and people as far away as Texas preparing for a major hurricane, some disaster response experts are wondering if FEMA is ready.
It's going to be a very, very tough situation, and there just aren't going to be the resources there to devote to yet another disaster.
Shaw says that's largely because the federal government focused so heavily on terrorism after 9/11 that responding to natural disasters became a low priority. Critics say that was compounded by putting political appointees with little experience in key leadership positions.
The lack of leadership at FEMA was a huge problem that hopefully now has been overcome.
Goodman says FEMA's new head has spent his entire career in disaster response, and he received good grades last week for his and FEMA's quick response to Hurricane Ophelia on the Carolina coast. Experts say one reason to be hopeful about FEMA is that the career workers, the ones out in the field doing the hard, dirty work, are about as good at their jobs as they could possibly be. And with sufficient resources and good leadership, many are cautiously optimistic that FEMA can be turned around, maybe even in time for Rita. Chip Reed, NBC News, Washington.
We'll take another break. Still ahead tonight, some of the other news of this day. Also a big development in that urgent effort to rescue those dolphins washed out to sea by the hurricane.
Hey, Bob here with my surfing pal, Andy Irons, who's chowing down on Quizno's new Cabo chicken sub. Look at that thing, Andy. So much deli sliced chicken, savory bacon, and cheddar, all oven toasted. It's like a 50-foot wave of tastiness.
The guacamole and chipotle mayo are also pretty banging. Too bad you can't have one, little kahuna.
Too bad you can't have one, little kahuna.
The new Cabo chicken sub, just $2.99, only at Quizno's.
Wow, just $2.99?
Quizno's. Toasty.
Finally, a denture adhesive with no messy ooze.
Announcing Polygrip strips. These slim strips are pre-measured to give you a neat, clean seal with all the hold of a cream. New Polygrip strips holds all day in a neat new way.
Exciting news from Allegra. Allegra D 24-hour. Find out what all the excitement's about. Ask your doctor today about Allegra D 24-hour. You need to know about it.
Looking for a simple dinner? Just follow the recipe on Campbell's Cream of Mushroom. There's 5 meal ideas on every label, like Campbell's two-step chicken bake. Add Campbell's Cream of Mushroom to chicken and bake for a delicious dinner in 30 minutes. This is good, Mom.
This is good, Mom.
Just came to me. Come home to a home-cooked meal with Campbell's. Who would ever think that the waste we generate would generate support for local events? The same people who lead the way in recycling nationwide and who conduct educational programs for our children. We're Waste Management. Working with local leaders, we're developing smart, earth-friendly landfill properties that serve the community in unexpected ways. From everyday collection to environmental protection. Think green. Think Waste Management.
What cooks like butter, spreads like butter, and has a fresh dairy taste like butter, without the cholesterol and high saturated fat? Smart Balance Buttery Spread. Smart Balance just received another Best Taste Award and is endorsed by professional chefs. It's the only spread with a patented balance of fats to help increase HDL good cholesterol and avoids trans fat naturally, not artificially as some spreads do. Smart Balance. You're going to love that buttery taste.
As Rita takes aim at the Gulf Coast, how the government will use lessons from Katrina to prevent this kind of devastation again. Scarborough Country. MSNBC tonight.
The update from Iraq is sobering, with word today that 5 more members of the U.S. military have been killed. That brings the number of American service members killed since the invasion to more than 1,900 now. In addition, the government said today that a State Department security official and 3 security contractors were killed by a suicide bomber as their diplomatic convoy left the regional U.S. Embassy office in Mosul. Tonight, it is clear that the suicide bombers who launched that deadly attack on London's transit system in early July had scoped out their targets very carefully. Closed-circuit footage taken 9 days before the attacks and revealed today shows 3 of the 4 bombers following exactly the same route they ended up taking on the day of the attacks. They're appearing to be doing an actual dry run here. The actual attacks on July 7th killed 56 people, including the attackers themselves. Last night here, we reported on an apparent turning point in the standoff between the U.S. and North Korea over nuclear weapons. North Korea agreed, in principle at least, to give up its nukes in exchange for financial aid and diplomatic recognition. And last night at this time, we said, in fact, the devil's in the details. And today, the North Koreans said they would keep their weapons until the U.S. provides energy-producing civilian reactors. U.S. officials are playing down the demand, saying this is just the usual North Korean negotiating strategy. The man who devoted his life to making sure the Holocaust is never forgotten has died. Simon Wiesenthal was a prisoner in 12 different concentration camps before he was liberated by American soldiers in Austria at the end of the war. He always said his own survival was what motivated him, and he wasn't bitter over the experience. He spent much of his adult life hunting down Nazi war criminals, most notably Adolf Eichmann, the head of Hitler's genocide program. The Simon Wiesenthal Center is devoted to remembering the 6 million of his fellow Jews who did not survive, including, by the way, 89 members of his family. Simon Wiesenthal was 96 years old. And here in New York today, at Carnegie Hall, the television news industry gathered for a memorial service for our ABC News colleague Peter Jennings, who died of lung cancer last month. 2,000 people filled the Great Hall to hear eulogies from his closest colleagues and friends. Among them, Alan Alda, who said Peter Jennings was many things, but above all, he was authentic. The service was also filled with the music that Peter Jennings loved so much, from jazz to gospel. At the close of the service, Peter Jennings' son Christopher told the crowd, "There is no way to express how much I miss my father. Each day is, above all else, a day without him." We'll be right back.
Someone is saying yes instead of no to redeeming credit card miles. Find out who.
I'm on it.
No, blacked out.
Brenda, you know we all say no. But I hear sometimes you say yes.
Go from no to no hassle with Capital One No Hassle Rewards. There are no blackout dates on any airline, anytime.
Should have worked at Capital One.
What's in your wallet?
We asked people why they use Colace capsules.
My doctor recommended it.
My doctor told me.
My son told me.
Your son?
Yes, my son, the doctor.
Stimulant-free Colace capsules, the #1 stool softener brand recommended by doctors.
If you have indoor or outdoor allergies, ask your doctor about something different. Singulair. While many allergy medicines block histamine, Singulair works differently by blocking leukotrienes, an underlying cause of allergy symptoms. And Singulair is now approved to help relieve both indoor and outdoor allergy symptoms for a full 24 hours. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Singulair, a different way to treat indoor and outdoor allergies.
My doctor said my type 2 diabetes was out of control. That high blood sugar increased my risk of serious complications. He said I better diet, exercise, take my medicine. Yeah. I heard it all before. Well, maybe I should have listened.
Every year, up to 24,000 people lose their eyesight to diabetes. Even more are at risk for stroke, heart attack, and limb loss. If you have high blood sugar, get help. Call or visit diabetes.com.
Jim's best friend died of a heart attack with no warning, and I worried it could happen to Jim. His doctor said you should always have genuine Bear at hand. Just one has enough aspirin to help save your life during a heart attack.
We both feel better when I have my Bear.
What the
We'd like to order now.
Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, these
Whatever happened to customer service? At DHL, it's alive and well.
Consider it done.
Call us and see how we're changing the way the shipping business does business.
Next, after nightly news, a charter fishing trip on Oregon's south coast takes a deadly turn. What fishermen say they heard a mile from the wreck. Also saving a piece of Portland's colorful past. How you can weigh in.
And fall is on the way in, but summer weather continues. I'm Matt Safino. We'll have your forecast, the latest on Hurricane Rita. All the news and weather coming up at 6.
We have an update tonight, and it's a happy one on the bottlenose dolphins from that aquarium in Gulfport, Mississippi. They were washed out to sea by Katrina. 4 of them were rescued last week, but as of yesterday, the other 4 could not be found. Well, today they were located in the waters off Biloxi. Scientists took them out of the water and readied them for the 12-mile ride to the nearby U.S. Navy base, where they will join the other 4 in a pool where they will be safe. Their rescuers say, by the way, these dolphins have always lived in captivity and didn't have the skills to survive in the wild, so that is why their return to captivity is a happy ending for them. For more than 40 years, the Preservation Hall Jazz Band has been performing on St. Peter Street in New Orleans, French Quarter. It is one of the stops on any trip to that city. Then the storm hit, and when it did, the musicians fought for their lives, for their instruments, and for one another. While they can't reopen just yet, they can still play. Tonight they perform in a fundraising concert here in New York. We have their story tonight in their own words.
Preservation Hall is a very small space, very intimate.
The people are seated at my feet on the floor, so close I can touch them. If I drop my guitar pick, one of them pick it up and give it to me. It's a place where we can play the music that is our heritage and not have it tampered with, contaminated.
What's unique about New Orleans jazz is the vibes between the audience and the band that's created.
See that shoulder? If that shoulder don't do that, you're not feeling it. That's it.
It was so difficult to track down the musicians. Some of our musicians were spread out around all over the South.